From eCobalt Solutions. Welcome to the stage.
Okay, thanks very much for having me and attending the presentation. Our disclaimer, because we will be making some forward-looking statements. I think our mission statement is probably one of the most important things that we can say here, that we are committed to providing an ethical source of cobalt products for the industry in the United States. We're really the only company in the world that can make that statement. And some highlights about the company itself. This is an extremely advanced project. It's a primary cobalt deposit located in the United States. There's only one other primary cobalt deposit in the world that's in production, and that's in Morocco. We have all our permits in place for the project to put it into production, which is why we're in pre-construction now, why we're so advanced. We can produce a very desirable end product, which is a clean cobalt concentrate for the battery industry. We're really kind of all pretty aware of the tightening supply in the market and the growing demand. We use CRU to do our forecast. They're looking for a deficit in the metals, cobalt metal and chemical market for the next foreseeable future. And because of the nature of the project, the advanced stage, the amount we spent on it, we can have initial production in 2019. So just some of the news that's out there, and we take action on these news. Like we will send an introductory letter to Apple when something comes out here, as they're going downstream looking for product. Electric vehicles, a reality. NMCs, lithium-ion batteries, the battery of choice. This is a reality, and we're certainly going to be part of it. So a little bit about the project itself. This is a photograph. So you can see that roughly 95% of the earthworks are completed. I don't know if this has a light on it or not. The water management ponds to the south, they're about 8-9 acres each, where you see a little bit of black of the liner there, the tailings waste storage facility. All of the roads are built down to the mine portal. The mill pad and concentrator pad are built. All of the equipment for the mill and concentrator are bought and purchased and sitting in a warehouse in Salmon, Idaho. So that's your ball mill, your bridge cranes, your float cells, all the conveyor belts, the crushers, all bought and paid for from 2011. So very small underground mine in Salmon, Idaho, 800 ton per day. We'll make 32 ton of concentrate. We'll ship it to an industrial park in Blackfoot, Idaho, where we already own 18 acres of land. There we'll process into a clean cobalt concentrate with less than 0.5% arsenic. It's on a major railhead, and we'll just ship it then in 1-ton super sacks piled into 20-ton containers to the West Coast for shipment. Over $120 million spent on the project to date, and our existing feasibility study has a 12.5-year mine life. So some of the highlights, we have an existing feasibility study that came out in November 2017. We're optimizing that study now, and this is critical to the project, because the big change was not the mine and the mill. The big change is we are going to produce a clean cobalt concentrate versus a cobalt sulfate heptahydrate. A significant decrease in CapEx for us to do that, and also much less risk to the project. We've had numerous discussions over the last many months with potential off-takers. Obviously, the Asian companies are at the forefront. They've all been to the property, have done their due diligence, and so those discussions are ongoing. We probably will try and finalize those as we put out our feasibility study. We ran bench scale tests on the ore, and we removed 99% of the arsenic to make the clean con on a bench scale test. We're currently running pilot scale tests on that, but we're sizing our equipment for the roasters on the bench scale studies. Pre-construction activities are underway at the site as we speak. This is last fall, so we have power to the site now. The big thing for us here at this point in time is to make sure our environmental systems are in place so we can go underground, which is our critical path. So this spring, we will be electrifying our pump back wells. We purchased our tailings waste storage facility. It's being delivered this month. The contracts has been let out to install the facility and get the liner down on the tailings waste storage facility. Once those activities are in place, we can actually go underground and deal with the waste and deal with the water. Our team over the last 6 months, we built out incredibly. Chief Operating Officer, production manager, process manager, safety, all these people are in line now. We're currently looking for mine managers, superintendents, people to run the facility as part of our construction. So as our feasibility study, the optimizations from the previous one, this study is expected out this quarter, by the way, in another couple of months. We did some drilling in the fall, and we expanded our resource with, we targeted some holes, $500,000. I'll expand on that a little bit. For $500,000, we gained 5 million pounds of cobalt. So that updated resource will now roll into a reserve with the feasibility study. Also, with having technical people on board, we've changed updated our mine plan, and we're going to do cut and fill mining as compared to long hole stoping. And you know, the engineers that produce the studies, they like spiral declines. That's just not really efficient. A sweeping ramp system is much safer, much more efficient to build for the project. And obviously, one of the key things is the new flow sheet to produce a clean concentrate. And as we were marketing through Asia, this is one of the desired products that these companies like, the refineries like, is a clean cobalt con, which is less than 0.5% arsenic in it. It will have about, the concentrate, because the project is so high grade, the con will be about 25% cobalt, 30% copper, and about 1 ounce per ton of gold. So our development timeline, as I mentioned, our optimized feasibility study, environmental systems, all going in over the next couple of months here. We'll have our study available end of Q2. That's when we'll make our production decision to move forward here. Probably try and bring together our offtake agreement at the same time. The critical path is going underground, so we can commence mine development in August, September of this year. Initial production 12 to 14 months later. We'll start hitting ore at about 300-400 feet. It's 800 ton per day, so this is not a big ramp-up process here. Initial production Q4 2019, full production in 2020. There's about 3 to 6 months of ramp-up. So this is the reserve with a 0.25% cutoff. This reserve will be updated. As I mentioned, we have an updated resource. Once we roll into the new optimized feasibility study, this reserve will be updated. So from the previous study, 3.7 million tons of reserve with almost 35 million pounds of cobalt. And the increase in our resource, now this is updated from the drilling. If we just focus on the comparison here, for 3 drill holes, we increased in measured and indicated only 430,000 tons of resource, which is an additional 5 million pounds of cobalt. So incredible value. The sensitivity, I bring this up here. This is from our November feasibility study, because if you look at you know, the price of cobalt, which is quite conservative then, we use $25 plus a little bit of a premium. If you come anywhere close to where the price of cobalt is here today, and every dollar change in cobalt is an increase of about $14.5 million in your NPV, you can see how you could have 40% IRR and 350 to 400 million NPV. So we're looking for a pretty stellar optimized feasibility study. The land package that we have, the whole feasibility study is just on the RAM, which represents 7% of the project. So we have lots of room to expand, lots of other targets. We are in the middle of the Idaho Cobalt Project. This is very prolific cobalt. And we recently, in February, raised $30 million So we got about $40 million now, lots of working capital, and just to summarize, extremely advanced project, environmentally friendly, designed from reclamation back to production, lots of upside on the resource, and a secure, transparent, ethical supply of cobalt in the United States. Thank you.